So in this episode, we're speaking to Mohammed Altab, who is an investment banker at Deutsche Bank in London.
Hello everyone, my name is Mohammed Altab, but everyone calls me Altab. I've just graduated from LSE where I studied geography with economics, and currently I'm working as an investment banking analyst at Deutsche Bank. So I was actually born and raised in India before moving to London at the age of 8, and I've lived in London ever since. So being from London, I decided to stay at home while studying at LSE. It was just a train down to the city from where I lived. I guess living in and around the city and being around all these top global international firms really influenced my decision to get into investment banking. I've always been fascinated with the fast paced nature of city jobs in London, and I think I always knew a corporate role was for me. Hopefully, I'll detail my exact journey into investment banking in this episode of the career series.
So where did you go to sixth form and what did you study?
During my time at the London Academy of Excellence, which is a free school based in Stratford, I studied A levels in mathematics, geography, chemistry, and physics. And towards my first year, so towards the end of my first year, so towards the end of year 12, I realized my passion lay with the first three subjects. So I ended up dropping physics. My reason for picking mathematics was quite simple. I've always enjoyed working with numbers, so picking maths just made sense to me. And chemistry allowed me to apply my mathematical skills to real life scenarios. Development in the understanding of organic chemistry has really changed the world, and the laws of maths govern the laws of chemistry. So, maths and chemistry go hand in hand like that. And the combination of chemistry and maths can also be seen in geography. And so, geography at A level, both physical and human geography, allowed me to see real world applications of some pretty advanced maths and chemistry concepts. Yeah, I think I was looking for a set of A levels that intrigued me and that would allow me to apply my knowledge to the real world.
What tips and pieces of advice could you give to A-level students?
I often get asked for tips that I could give to year 12 or year 13 students. And the first thing I always respond with is start revising early. I would recommend starting at least 10 weeks before your first exam. And 10 weeks is ample time to cover all content, understand it, and do past papers. And with the easy stuff, get it under your belt. There's no point trying to tackle harder concepts if you're struggling with the basics. Secondly, I'd say do plenty of past paper questions for each topic. That will give you the gist of the exam and how you'll have to relay your knowledge in an exam situation. So, again, start with the easier topics and then progress to the ones that you find quite challenging. And go back to the earliest exam papers that you can find and then work your way through to the latest ones.
How would you describe your time at sixth form?
So, upon finishing my GCSEs at Valentine's High School, I decided to venture out of my borough in London for my A levels. And so I went to the London Academy of Excellence in Stratford. Being from near the Ilford area, I really enjoyed the new setting in which I found myself in at the London Academy of Excellence. I would describe my time at sixth form as one of the best of my life. It was a fresh start for me, and I decided to throw myself at everything. I really did push myself to leave my comfort zone and develop as a person. It was great because no one knew me at my sixth form. I was the only student from my school, so there was no need to be shy. And I was given this opportunity to build my personal brand from scratch. I tried my best to grasp as many opportunities as I could, and ultimately, I think it was this mentality that helped kick off my journey into investment banking. I'd really recommend A-level students to go to, good sixth forms outside of their locality because it will give you a fresh start and you can completely change your personal brand and grab as many opportunities, some of which might not be available to you if you go to the local sixth form. Continuing with opportunities at sixth form, I had many come my way, from acting as a student ambassador for my sixth form at Careers Fairs to being part of a chemistry research program at the University of Oxford. And all these opportunities really helped me develop myself personally, academically, as well as professionally. But by far the best opportunity was the internship I had at Op Capita, which is a private equity firm in Mayfair. Private equity guys do very similar jobs to investment bankers. I'll better explain what investment bankers do later on. But anyway, this internship was 8 weeks long and it further solidified my interest in finance. I actually had to apply for the internship as many people wanted in on it. And what really helped me stand out were the other opportunities that came my way. I mean, some guys at my sixth form were only interested in the Op Capita internship and so hadn't got involved with anything else at college. But I had got involved with as much as possible, and Op Capita really liked this. It showed that, I had actually been proactive and kept an open mind. Opportunities really do lead to other opportunities. Just as a side note, when gaining professional experience as a student, it's maybe not so much about finding what you want to do, but finding what you don't want to do. Some jobs won't be for you, and it's good if you can identify these jobs before graduating. I also shadowed a corporate lawyer whilst at sixth form, but I just didn't enjoy it. And so I started leaning more towards into investment banking and private equity. Finally, I'd say that my time at sixth form was very busy. Striving for these opportunities whilst keeping up to date with my studies was quite difficult. Learning to say no was something I learnt whilst at sixth form, and luckily I learnt this skill early on in life. But although I did find time management quite difficult, I won't change my time at sixth form for anything. I really loved my years there.
So what was your university application process rationale?
When it came round to applying to university courses, I was very confused choosing between chemical engineering, accounting and finance, and geography with economics. In the end, it came down to either doing a geography based degree or a chemical engineering one. But the thing with chemical engineering is that it is perhaps a bit too practical for me. I also realized my passion for geography was strongest, so I set my sights on a geography based degree. And I knew as well that I wanted to stay in London. And aside from LSE, I don't think any other London based university do a combined geography with economics degree. So LSE was the obvious destination. And LSE only focused on the human side of geography, which is what interests me. Another reason for wanting to go to LSE was the fact that LSE graduates make up 70% of the graduate pool in investment banking. So going to LSE I thought would massively increase my chance of getting into the industry because I knew that it was going to be tough getting into investment banking. I actually applied to university twice, as the first time round I marginally missed my LSE offer by a few UMS. I was painstakingly close to getting in, but it just wasn't meant to be. This forced me into taking a gap year to redo the exams that, I had missed my grades in, and I also thought it would be a good opportunity for me to get some work experience under my belt. I applied for many work experience opportunities, but I was rejected from quite a few to begin with. But being someone with a never give up attitude, I persevered, and luckily in the end, I got some experience as a market research analyst at an IT firm called PlanNet. And then I was able to take a few months off to redo those exams. And after which, I spent the summer, 8 weeks of my time at Op Capita, which is the private equity fund based in Mayfair. Second time round with the A level exams, though, I made sure to get the grades needed for the geography with economics course at LSE. And then, yeah, I pretty much transitioned to university.
So how was your time at LSE? Did you like it?
Despite LSE having, I think, the lowest student satisfaction scores from all Russell Group universities, I actually loved my time there. I really enjoyed my 3 years. And I think what made me enjoy my time there was the fact that I threw myself at as many opportunities as possible. And I fully embraced the university experience. University is a place where the more you put in, the more you get out. I remember my manager at Op Capita telling me that meet as many people as you can at LSE and build good relationships with them. He said LSE graduates end up in fantastic positions across the world, not just the UK. So by getting to know them, I could end up just like them. And so in my first year, I joined many societies and I just didn't join them, but I was also part of the committee for many of the societies. I remember joining the India Society, the LSE India Forum, and I was also part of a few other student ambassador programs. Don't get me wrong, the society stuff did take its toll on my studies. I actually reached a point where I just had too much on my plate. But having said that, my society work let me meet many people across the campus who I'll stay in contact with for the rest of my life. I made some great friends at LSE from all over the globe, and the university has really helped me make a more global citizen, which is one of LSE's values, I think. In my first year, I also made a YouTube video for LSE, acting on behalf of my department, which is still up. and it was basically a day in the life of a geography student at LSE, and that was used by my department during the open days. And then in my second year, I joined the Islamic Society, where I was the head of Charity Week, where we raised over £50,000 for Islamic relief. This was an unforgettable experience. At the end of the day, it's not just the lectures that I'll remember from my time at LSE, but more the people I've met and the fun that I've had. And living at home was actually best for me. Something that living at home hinders your experience at university. But from my experience, it meant that I had no overlap between my university life and my home life, which I really appreciated. Sometimes you just want to take a break from all things university, and if you're living in halls of residence, then this may not be possible. So, living at home gave me the escape I sometimes needed from university. Unfortunately, my final year at university was cut short due to the COVID situation, but I'm sure we'll have a graduation ceremony next year. Ultimately, I loved my time at LSE and I made some memories that I'll keep with me forever.
So why investment banking then?
My decision to pursue investment banking was largely influenced by my time at Capita. As I mentioned before, private equity jobs are quite similar to investment banking jobs. So when I was out of Capita, I worked on pitch books, I did some financial modeling with my manager, and I worked on presentations and stuff like that. I found the actual work very interesting as I saw firsthand just how big of a global impact investment banking and private equity has on the real world. Before I detail my path to securing a job as an investment banker, I think it would be quite good to give our listeners an overview of an investment bank. So, generally speaking, investment banks help companies raise capital through debt or equity and help to facilitate mergers and acquisitions between companies. This is what is known as the investment banking division or IBD. But the big investment banks also offer other services, including sales and trading, asset management, transaction banking, wealth management, and equity research, to name a few. I really only know about investment banking division, so I can only share my experience from an IBD standpoint. The services offered by investment banks are split into three areas. You have the front office, the middle office, and the back office. The front office is the area that generates revenue for the bank. So the investment banking division, sales and trading, and all the other services I mentioned just a moment ago are all in the front office. Actually, equity research is no longer classed as the front office. I don't know why though. The front office is pretty much where all the top jobs are. Most people who aspire to work for investment banks want to work in the front office because front office roles are very technical and they're also client facing, meaning you directly communicate with the clients of the bank. And also they pay the most out of the three areas. Naturally, getting into the front office is very difficult, but then again, the front office jobs are very lucrative, so there's a lot of competition for these roles. The middle office basically supports the front office. The jobs there directly aid those who bring in the business in the front office. So jobs here include risk management, technology, but not quantitative trading, accounting, so like internal audits, management, accounting stuff, and compliance. The back office consists of HR and a few other roles, but I don't really know much about the back office, so I can't speak too much about it. Generally, though, the back office is concerned with admin stuff and making sure that everything is running smooth in the bank. And this includes some aspects of technology as well, just supporting the whole structure of the investment bank. Anyway, within the front office branch of the investment banking division, you have equity capital markets, debt capital markets, and M&A, which is short for mergers and acquisitions. Equity capital markets basically revolves around helping companies raise capital through equity, and this is usually done through issuing shares or an initial public offering, or IPO for short, is conducted where basically the equity capital markets team will create shares in the company that members of the public and investors can buy. As the shares are bought, the company raises capital. Creating the shares, knowing how to price the shares and how many shares to issue, estimating the movement of the share price in the market, finding investors who want to buy the shares, these are all the things that the equity capital market bankers do. Debt capital markets is pretty much the same, but with debt. So instead of issuing shares, interest-based loans will be offered. Most loans take the form of bonds. So if a company wants to raise capital through debt, the debt capital market team will issue bonds, which will then be made available for investors and the public. As the bonds are bought, capital is raised. The downside to raising capital through an IPO is that you lose a tiny bit of ownership in the shares. The downside to debt, however, is obviously that you have to pay back interest, and the firm pays interest to those people who bought the bonds. Then you have mergers and acquisitions. This is the team of the bank that help company A either buy company B or merge with company B, and the bank charge a middleman fee. This is the department I'll be working with when I start my job, even though I will be covering equity capital markets and debt capital markets, and is perhaps the most technical because you have to learn financial modeling, which makes up the majority of the job. Financial modeling is to do with using Microsoft Excel to forecast a company's financial performance in the future. There are many financial modeling techniques which I won't go into, but yeah, like this is a huge aspect of M&A. So when company A wants to buy company B, they will approach many different investment banks who will then compete for the deal. Once a bank has been awarded an M&A deal, the M&A bankers will value both companies to ensure that company A pays the appropriate amount for company B. They will also develop an acquisition strategy, perform due diligence, and work with the capital markets team to settle on how the acquisition will be funded. I think it'll be quite good for me to give an example showing how the three groups in the investment banking division are linked. So let's say you have a British company that, I don't know, makes smoothies, for example. And let's say this company has done really well in the UK for the last 5 years and is now looking to expand into the US. To do this, they need money to build shops, hire workers, buy supplies. The company might decide to go to an investment bank to raise capital to build shops, hire workers. Well, firstly, should the smoothie company raise capital through issuing shares or through issuing bonds? The owners of the smoothie company might not want to give up any ownership, hence they may opt for the debt. But what if the smoothie company has poor cash flow to the point where they might not be able to pay back the interest payments? If this happens, issuing shares through an IPO seems more attractive than raising debt-based capital through bonds. There are pros and cons to both equity and debt-based capital, and they'll be evaluated when deciding whether debt or equity is the best for the given situation. Okay, so now assume the smoothie company in fact raised capital via equity. 5 years later, they're thriving in the US. Now, all of a sudden, having seen how lucrative the smoothie industry is, a competitor to our company enters the market. This competitor's company has really good process for producing smoothies really cheap, and our company is scared that the competitor may become bigger than them. So what does our company decide to do? They decide to buy out their competitors. Now the M&A bankers will get involved, value both companies, and perform due diligence and address. Now the M&A bankers will get involved, value both companies, perform due diligence, etc.
So, how did you land the job then?
So after doing the Op Capita internship, I managed to land a spring week at Deutsche Bank in the investment banking division. Spring weeks are basically programs for first year university students where you can gain a basic understanding of the different areas of the bank and the culture. It's a good opportunity for you to meet, the staff members there and shadow some real life investment bankers. It's a good way to know if a career at an investment bank is for you. But the real reason people apply for spring weeks is because it boosts your chances of getting an internship the following summer after your second year. Summer internships are where you actually do work, so you're given real responsibilities and work alongside bankers. And the summer internship is much more important than a spring week. So that's the one you need to get and to do well on. So yeah, I did the spring week. Now at Deutsche Bank, if they like you on the spring week, then they offer you a summer internship without you having to, reapply for the opportunity. Luckily, they liked me and so offered me the summer internship. What was great about this was that I didn't need to apply for summer internships at the beginning of my second year. So this saved me a lot of stress and time during my second year. And then on the internship, on the summer internship, I was placed within the corporate finance team. So this is a different name, it's the same thing as an investment banking division with the natural resources team. And then on the summer internships, I was placed with the natural resources group, which is a team based within investment banking. And in this team, I was looking at companies within the chemicals, metals, and mining industries. Before I was placed with my team, the bank actually spent 1 week preparing all the summer interns, ensuring that we were all on the same page, regardless of our degree backgrounds. Speaking of degree backgrounds, what I found really quite pleasantly surprised about was the shared diversity that, in degrees amongst my intern class. So I met one girl who was studying English at Oxford. I met another who studied philosophy at Warwick. With investment banks, it's not so much about what you study, but it's about where you study. So the brand name is definitely very important. So yeah, bear that in mind if you're interested in investment banking. Aim for the best university in the UK. On the internship, I worked on financial modeling, presentations, and pitch books. So similar stuff to what I did at OpCapita. And off the back of that internship, I was given a full-time role, which I accepted.
So, what's the day in the life of an investment banker like? What does your day consist of?
So investment banking is notorious for having very long working hours. On average, you'd be working between, 15 to 18 hours a day, which comes to around 75 to 90 hours a week. Just bear in mind that this excludes the weekend. So you're working these hours between Monday to Friday. And if needed, so if you are working on a live deal, then you sometimes need to work on the weekends too. So you are literally working around the clock, and this is to provide the best service that you can for your clients. So now moving on to the day of an investment banker. So a typical day would include waking up at around 7:15 for me more specifically. So I wake up around 7:15 a.m. and I get ready and leave my house at around 8 a.m. and get to the office at around 9 a.m. So for our team specifically, we aim to get into the office between 9 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. And I live around 45 to 50 minutes away from the office. And I, as a junior, to make a good impression on my team as an intern and as a junior in general, I tend to get into the office a bit earlier than everyone else. So I get into the office at around 9 o'clock basically. And during the first few hours, I'd, get in, grab myself a coffee perhaps just to wake me up and just to kick off the day. And I'd spend the first few hours catching up with any work from the day before, or catching up with any emails that I need to respond to from my team or from any clients, and also do get started with my weekly duties that I need to do every single week. After which this usually extends to around 12 p.m. So this takes me, a good 2 3 hours. And at around 12:30, I go off to lunch. And lunch isn't a fixed time, so you can go whenever you want. And usually we, as investment bankers, we don't really take an hour for lunch. So I usually, used to pop out to the local shops and bring the food to my desk and carry on working. And this used to take me around 20 minutes to go outside the office, go to a local shop like Wagamama's or anywhere else basically, and bring that food to my desk and eat while I work basically. After lunch we might have a meeting with the team just to discuss the work that we're working on for the week and what kind of stuff is going on. And then I just continue working on the work that I've been set basically. So this might include working on a PowerPoint presentation for an upcoming meeting with a client, and or it might include working on a financial model for a company, for a meeting coming up once again. Then this work, depending on how much work I've got, I might get a downtime for maybe an hour or so, or maybe half an hour where I can go pop out, grab a coffee, grab a late afternoon snack, And then around 7:30 I order dinner. So if I'm planning to stay in the office after 9 p.m., which is mostly the case, I order dinner through this online ordering service, and our bank gives us an allowance every single day for us to order dinner if we're working past 9 p.m. So it was, for me doing my internship, it was around £20. And then, at 8:30 stuff, once again, grab my food from downstairs. Is delivered right to the office, so you don't have to go anywhere. So grab my food, bring it to my desk, and start eating at my desk. And then at 10, 9, 10, 11 p.m., I start, closing my day, basically, for getting all my work done for the day. And after 10 p.m., we are allowed to order a cab home. So the bank actually pays for your cab home, so you don't have to take the public transport. So yeah, after 10 p.m., I order a cab, and sometimes I'm in the office till a lot later, really depending on how much work I've got. But you can get a cab home after 10 p.m. So whether that's at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., whenever, you can get a cab home, and that's on the bank.
So, what skills do you need as an investment banker?
So you definitely need an eye for detail. You can't afford to make any mistakes. So having an eye for detail will mean that you are meticulous in how you approach your work. This will hopefully minimize the number of mistakes you make, and it makes you look more credible in front of your colleagues and clients. Your team members will be able to trust you with, more important work. But remember, a lot of your work will be presented to CEOs and boards of directors of multi-billion-dollar companies. So it really is important that everything that you give, the number inside out, and there aren't any mistakes. The last thing you want is for there to be a typo in your work or a calculation error in your work, because this will reflect badly on the senior bankers and the bank as a whole. An eye for detail should reduce sloppiness. I mean, on the internship, I was responsible for drafting documents about commodity prices and their evolution over time. And this was, I did this on a weekly basis, and this information was sent out to the global team at Deutsche Bank. So I was given a massive responsibility. These documents were made using the Bloomberg terminal and were sent to the, as I said, to the Deutsche Bank global team, global natural resources team. So from New York City to Singapore. For an intern, that is quite the task with a lot of responsibility. And the last thing you want is a mistake in those documents, because that could lead to the bank losing money or offering the wrong solutions to potential clients, because the information that I was sending out on a weekly basis was used across different, materials that were presented to clients. So that information might be used in PowerPoint presentations, in Excel sheets, in modeling and things like that. Luckily, I never made any mistakes, and I think this really convinced the bank to offer me a full-time role. It showed that I can be trusted with work, and I can be the future face of Deutsche Bank. So yeah, you have to have an eye for detail and don't make any stupid mistakes. You also need good communication skills. Make sure you can convey your ideas to your team effectively. You'll be in a very corporate environment on your internship, so professionalism is in your communication is vital too. And as you progress and become more senior, you'll be put face to face with clients and tasked with winning business for the bank. And it's really important that you have the right communication and interpersonal skills. No one is going to do business with someone who isn't confident in their communication, let alone a company that is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions. Obviously, these are skills you would develop as you grow in the job. Finally, I'd say you need stamina and perseverance. Investment banking is known for its grueling hours, and you have to be able to, work late in the evening and work past midnight most days. And you will have to do this, most days. So yeah, you definitely need grit and stamina. Investment banking certainly isn't a sprint. It's more of a marathon.
Can you give any tips to students who will be interning this summer?
Definitely get to the office early every day. This will showcase your desire to learn and impress on the job. Not only that, but by getting into the office early, you can spend some time planning your day and getting updated with what happened overnight. This should make you more productive during the day. Having said that, don't feel the need to stay in the office unnecessarily. My managing director actually said to me that, he views those who stay till really late every single day as people who are inefficient with their work during the day. And that's why they're having to stay late, basically. Additionally, I'd, say definitely ask your team if there's anything you can help with once you are finished with your work. This way, you'll be adding value by decreasing the workload of your coworkers, and make sure your work is done and done properly before you start offering your services to others. And just make sure that you double check your work, triple check your work to avoid stupid mistakes, and maybe even take a few moments away from your screen just to freshen up and look at your work with a brand new set of eyes, basically.
Okay, next, can you give any tips to people applying to internships?
The tips that I'd give to students applying to internships would be that apply to as many internships as you can and really tailor your applications, especially your cover letter for each bank. So the more you apply, obviously, the better your chances of securing something. Another tip I'd give is that do your research and try to meet people from the industry. It's quite easy these days to arrange coffee chats or calls via LinkedIn. So it's quite simple. Let's say if you're applying to one of these roles at Deutsche Bank, so you simply write investment banking at Deutsche Bank, and it would give you all the employees that do investment banking at Deutsche Bank. And then what I do is send them a personalized invite saying, "Hey, I'm interested in applying to Deutsche Bank for this. Would it be possible to arrange a 15-minute call?" And most people, even if 9 people don't apply, one person will. So that's what I did to find out more about Deutsche Bank and about the role. And this is what I'd really recommend you to do. Another tip that I'd give is speak to older students who have gone through the process and ask them for their advice and tips. I often mentor younger students and just to help them with their application process, with their CV, with their cover letter. And I'm sure others would do the same. And there were others that helped me, older students that helped me do the same. Another tip that I'd give is speak to your careers department if you need help with your cover letter or CV. A lot of these departments are there to help you with these things, and they can help you arrange mock interviews and even connect you with alumni from that university who have gone to work in these lucrative industries or any other industries for that matter. Finally, I'd say be organized with the application. Use an Excel sheet to keep track of them. This will help you keep on track of your deadlines and any deadlines to do with the applications, online tests, and interviews. There are, several people that I've met who've actually, they've been invited to do an online interview or online test and they've completely forgotten about it. So just make sure that you use this Excel sheet to keep track of your applications.
Any concluding remarks?
Yeah, I'd say that films like Wolf of Wall Street are exaggerations of what high finance is all about. Margin Call is perhaps a more realistic movie. Investment banking is a long slog. The hours aren't the best. Lack of sleep can become an issue, and you're always busy. You can never make plans with your friends during the week because you just don't know what time you'll finish on that day. And weekends are still, unconfirmed because you can always be called into the office to work on a weekend. But having said that, you do work on important deals that impact real world. You do develop a rigorous and advanced skill set that opens up many doors after investment banking. I mean, 3 years of investment banking experience will look amazing on your CV, and you can transition into jobs in private equity, venture capital, hedge funds, consulting, asset management, anywhere literally. And in these areas, you might have a better professional life in one way or another. A lot of analysts don't really think past the first 2, 3 years though, because it can be hard adjusting to that lifestyle that they just want to take things as they come. Anyway, one of the most attractive aspects of investment banking, which I'm sure you'll agree with, is the compensation. People die to find out. They really want to know what investment bankers make and stuff. So looking at the Arkston report of 2020, they gave out some numbers in their annual report. What you can expect to make as a first year analyst at the age of 22 is £80,000 in total compensation. The year after goes to around £93,000 again in total. And in total, because this includes your basic salary and your bonuses can vary bank to bank, but base compensation is pretty much standard across the industry. your base salary increases quite slowly, but your bonus increases quite quickly. So in your third year, you can make around £128,000. And then as an associate one, this is a position you can make around £178,000 and you are around 25 years old. So just imagine how much you're making relative to everyone else, relative to all your friends. And in the next 2, 3 years, you can make up to £230,000 or even £250,000. I don't want to talk too much about money because trust me, like they'll know in the interview if you're doing it just for the money. And yeah, finally, I just want to say, I really enjoyed recording this for the YouTube channel, and hopefully, this interview will help others, you know, who are interested in the industry and just for them to learn more about the industry. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, and there we have it. I think Altab's perspective is obviously of paramount importance to students and individuals looking to break into the competitive industry of investment banking. I hope you guys have, learnt and taken on board at least one thing, and hopefully we will be back with an episode with a corporate lawyer. So, yeah, see you in the next one.